Welcome back, everyone, to the weekly Armchair Kickoff podcast. Today, we're on our podcast here today, and it's a really different feel to the show here today. So, for once, we're talking about international football on the show. So, for many, international football isn't, I suppose, their cup of tea, and it isn't the glitz and glamour of what we see in the Premier League every week. But this week in the internationals, we have a fantastic fixture coming up tomorrow. We have a fixture between the Republic of Ireland and England. Now, I know it's a friendly, but this game, regardless of when it is, it's a fantastic fixture for both sets of fans. So today I'm joined by two very special guests here today. So I'm joined by the weekly Armchair Kickoff podcast regular Gary Egan, and I'm joined by Adam Stock from Mad Red United. So lads, before we, I suppose, get crack on, talk about the game, like, how are you feeling this week? Obviously, look, the Premier League is, I suppose, off for the next 2 weeks or whatever, and both of our teams are on the back of good results recently. So, Gary, I'll come to you first. How are you feeling about the international break?
Well, I was going to say, we know Liverpool players going to get injured, but we get the news about Joe Gomez today, so. At least, look, it's horrible news. We don't know what's coming out yet. Possible ACL, there's some rumours, and there's others. It's just a minor knee injury. But at the international break, it was a break. To be fair, I think it should be scrapped. I think international should be only kept for the summer, and the leagues should be just played through with all the cup competitions, because these Nations League matches, I think, are pointless, and the friendlies are just pointless at this stage. But look, they have to be done. FIFA has to make their money, so I'm looking forward to the Ireland-England game anyway. At least it usually serves up something.
Yeah, absolutely. And Adam, I suppose from a Manchester United point of view, we had a fantastic win against Everton in the Premier League. We kind of had a mad kind of last couple of weeks in terms of Ollie and in terms of kind of some of the results that's happening. For you, is this a good break from kind of Man United and kind of the madness that's come with it, or are you kind of in the same kind of boat, you're not really interested in international football too much anymore?
You answered both of my questions there, mate. I'm enjoying the break because it's less stressful. The weekends are a lot easier without United playing, put it that way. But I'm totally with Gary there, man. Internationals do my treeing, mate, at the best of times. But now, with COVID going on, 3 games in a week, international. How many international players do you have to send out to actually get enough players there to actually compete in these games? When we're trying to minimise people and contacts with everything going on, it's just brain dead, in my opinion. This whole season should have been void of all internationals, especially in considering the circumstances we're living in right now. It was just, like Gary said, it's just money in it at the end of the day. The international federations, each one for each country, needs to make some form of money. And that has to be the only reason why we're actually playing. I listened to Ronald de Boer. I think, is it Ronald de Boer who's got the Holland team? I think it's Ronald, isn't it? Or is it Frank? I can't remember which one it is. Actually.
I think it's Frank. Yeah.
Frank's got the Dutch team. I was listening to him speak, and he's just speaking pure facts, absolute sense. He says he needs 2 teams. He needs 2 squads. One for the friendly, a B team, and then one for the the less important. What's it bleeding called now? The
Nations League. Yeah.
Nations League. Yeah. Like Gary said, another pointless competition. So you know what I mean. With taking out that many players, I think Italy took near 40 odd players out. More chance of one of these players contracting COVID, coming back to the clubs. Before you know it, Liverpool, where do we have a squad, Gaz, mate? It's going to be full of injuries and full of COVID victims. You're going to have no one, mate.
Yeah, you'll be delighted.
Well, no, like I said, I'm in total agreement, mate. I just think this season of all seasons, there should have been no internationals. They're pointless. They are just pointless. There's nothing to them. It's just a chance for players who are already running on empty to get an injury or have to go into self-isolation because they've come in contact or may have come in contact. We've seen what happened on the last break. Players like Tierney for Scotland, he's tested negative, but he still has to self-isolate. You know, that could cost the team. That could cost anyone in the Premier League when you lose some big players. Yeah. So yeah, forget it for me. I've no interest at all. I'm just enjoying the break from stressful weekends.
Yeah, absolutely. And look for me, I always love I always love watching Ireland play. I know, like, you don't play the most attractive football, and sometimes myself and Gary will be tearing our hair out when it comes to talking about Ireland and watching Ireland, because they flatter to deceive most times. But when it's your country, like, you know, there's always kind of a different feel to it. Now, I suppose with the COVID situation, it's not ideal for any this football to be going on, especially with the Premier League. But when you hear the national anthem and when the players go out there, like, it's, I don't know, I still love it, like, you know, regardless of what the situation is. But I suppose kind of coming on to our first talking point of the night, obviously, is both countries both have kind of young managers in their own right in terms of the international kind of stage. You have Gareth Southgate with England, who has been relatively successful with his time with England, and he seems to be someone who's taken England forward. He's come through kind of the international ranks in terms of managing the underage teams, and he seems to be taking England in a kind of a good direction in terms of trying to bring through the youth with England. Like, how would you assess kind of Gareth Southgate's time with England since he's taken over as permanent manager? And do you think, is he the man to take you going forward to maybe go look to get like future World Cup and European Championship success?
Right, if you can't succeed with a combination forward line, or these are players that you can select. So if you're playing three up front, for instance, you've got Keane, Rashford, Sancho, Sterling, Vardy. He's give up now because he can't get into the squad. You've got Ings then to come in. You've now got Calvert-Lewin playing decent football. You move back into the midfield, and it's what you can take your absolute pick again. The only positions that England are struggling with is probably in defence for me. But if you cannot succeed or get to a decent level with that amount of quality coming through, then you shouldn't be in the job in the first place. I like the way he played in the World Cup. I like the style of football, but it's just that sort of England. It seems to take over every England manager all of a sudden, where it just seems to go a little bit too safe, a little bit dull. I don't know if that's just the whole aura around international football when it comes to it, especially the friendlies, which is why I don't want them, and I don't think they should be there, because it doesn't look like the players can get up for him. He's done okay. Semi-final of the World Cup, you can't argue with that. But I think it would have been really interesting if we managed to get the Euros on with this team, because a lot of this squad of ours, the forward line, are peaking. There's so many players that are right on it at the moment. It's a shame we didn't get the Euros because of COVID, but I don't know, mate. I mean, he will ultimately be judged in the big tournaments, because England always qualify, no matter who's managing, mate. So, like I said, I'm not judging Southgate until we get to big tournaments. So, for me, it's a success because he came to semi-finals of the World Cup. But he has got an abundance of talent to pick from, mate. Don't get me wrong. We have got players coming out of our arse at the moment in terms of that midfield and forward line. It's rich. He's everywhere. Because the defence is the only real issue for us, and you definitely say the goalkeeper as well. But he will learn that lesson fast, probably, if he keeps picking who he does every time. Anyway.
Yeah, like, you look at England, like they have an embarrassment of riches at the moment, like in terms of their attacking options, their midfield, even like attacking midfield. The amount of great number 10s England have, like, you can name off a few: Jack Grealish, James Maddison, Mason Mount, Phil Foden. I know Dele Alli isn't in the best of form, but he's another number 10 who can play there. Do you know what I mean? He's another fantastic player. We haven't even mentioned players like Mason Greenwood, Bukayo Saka, players like that who are young players who are coming on the wing. Who there is a richness of talent now. I know defensively England do have a few players, they have frailties there, but even still, they have players like Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Reece James, Ben Chilwell, players who are in very good form at the moment. I know Trent Alexander-Arnold as well. I know he's a great attacking fullback. I think that's another player who might transition to midfield later on in his career. I know Gary might agree with me with that in terms from a Liverpool perspective. But so England have a lot of talent there, even with the goalkeeping situation. I think if they just demote Pickford and put Nick Pope or Dean Henderson in there, they have a real solid foundation there.
Pickford needs to go. Pickford is not going to. We're not going to win anything with Pickford in goal. It's as simple as that. The guy's a calamity. He really is. Shot stopping's a standard. Everyone can save shots. That comes a standard for all keepers in the Premier League these days. But everything else, decision making. I mean, you seen what he did to Harry Maguire. from that cross when he dropped it. I mean, that sums Pickford up. That's where England's frailties are. Is Southgate strong enough to drop his... We say this about Ollie all the time, don't we? Is he strong enough to drop his favourites? That's when he's going to be judged. When big decisions need to be made, you know what I mean? It's like a Glenn Hoddle leaving out a Gaza sort of decision. Where has he got the balls to do some crazy decisions? It's not crazy, but hard, I would say. Crazy is probably the wrong word, because, like you said, there's an abundance of talent in this England squad, and he is going to have to let some seriously good players go, or not pick them, for this next tournament. So, you know, that's where he's going to be judged ultimately. His squad that he takes to the big tournament, and then his style of play on the tournament. Everything in between, don't give a toss. It's all about the tournament, mate. That is it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Gary, like, we have Stephen Kenny in now, and we're under a new regime. Like, though the FAI seems to be taking a whole new direction with Irish football. Obviously, like, John Delaney, thank Christ, that man has gone from the helm at the FAI. I don't think I'll be on his Christmas card list anyway with all the stuff I said on social media about him. But but like, in terms of, obviously the new regime, we're taking Niall Quinn's obviously at the helm at the top of the FAI. And then you obviously have Stephen Kenny as our manager now, who's come through the League of Ireland. You know what I mean? And he's kind of had the hard graft in terms of becoming Irish manager. He was the under-21 manager previously before this. Like, how do you feel about the direction of Irish football at the moment? Do you think are we going in the right direction?
Like, as you said, look, they've changed away from the norm. Like, it's always been the defensive style of football, probably more is what I comment on in terms of the FAI and stuff like that. They've eventually seen the light due to government pressure and got rid of he who shall not be named for your own sake, Keane. Stephen Kenny came up, he had Dundalk playing great football, got him into Europe. FAI took a big shine to him and obviously gave him the gig where he was the Irish under-21 manager, getting to learn from Mick McCarthy in some ways. Thankfully, Big Mick said, look, with Rona and stuff like that, he goes, look, give Kenny the shot now, like, since there's not going to be any Euros. Let him get used to the squad and stuff like that. Like, he's changed football so rapidly for Ireland, though, as in we've gone from literally a majorly defensive team to now trying to create chances. Like, he's kind of gotten away from the fact that, like, Ireland's strongest suit was always our set pieces, but now it's very weak under Kenny. So I do believe he needs help in regards to that. But he has the players playing football, but they're just not creating chances. But he doesn't have a Grealish. He doesn't have a majorly creative player in the Ireland team, like, to help him. So I hope it works out for him. But he's coming up against some very tough times. Like, he's not scoring goals. The team isn't scoring goals, and he's ultimately going to be judged on his results.
Yeah, and like I said, like, football is a results business. Like, you can see in the first couple of games that Stephen Kenny has taken over with Ireland, that he's trying to get us playing the right way, and like, there's certain players that have been phased out of the Ireland setup because of that. Like, and even the likes of David McGoldrick, who's literally only been in the Ireland team a wet week, and he's after retiring from international football because it looks like he's not the striker that he fancies. So when you look at it from that perspective, I think the future is bright, like, with some of the young players that are coming through. So, Adam, I was going to come to you, obviously, with the whole Jack Grealish situation, because obviously, like, look, it's well documented from an Irish point of view, though he did change his allegiance to England, and look, rightfully so. Like, England have been successful in the kind of the underage groups, and it looks like they are going in the right direction in terms of, like, their I suppose, success in major tournaments. But in terms of the way Gareth Southgate's actually treating Jack Grealish, like, how would you assess it? Because he seems to be, anytime Jack Grealish is getting praised by any media or even in the press conferences, he always seems to deflect from Grealish. He'd always talk about Mason Mount or Connor Cody or some other player. Like, he seems very reluctant to praise Grealish. Do you think that there's a lack of trust there between Southgate and Grealish?
I don't think it's his. I don't think it's in his ability. I just don't think Southgate I think Southgate doesn't think he actually is on the same page in terms of attitude as the players, in terms of the system and the style of play. Grealish will open up many a defence, but if he's not going to work the same as the others, I think that's probably where the problem is with Jack Grealish. Just as Van der Beek nails one in against Spain. Oh man, I tell you. United just sneaks up on you, doesn't it, every time? You're trying to talk about someone else, but that's exactly the same scenario there, that Jack Grealish can't get into that England team, or Van der Beek can't get in the United team. There's a way that it works, but does he upset his flow of his team when he puts Grealish into it? That's how I think Southgate is looking at it. Is he as quick as the other forwards? No. Is that what he's looking at? Is he looking at the quicker break? But when you're up against a low block, you've got to play a Jack Grealish in there. He's ideal for that. He will take a couple of players on, he will suck in a foul, get you that free kick that may get you the lead and break that low block down. That's the difference with a Jack Grealish. And can you imagine someone like Jude Bellingham, a Birmingham City graduate, getting in ahead of the Aston Villa captain for the England setup? God. I mean, can you imagine the uproar in the Midlands if that happened? But this is... It is. He carries baggage, Jack Grealish. He's slowly getting rid of that tag that he's got as a trouble causer. But you know what? He reminds me so much of the sort of Gaza sort of era where it was like, you know what talent he's got, but does he upset anything else in terms of the squad? Does he upset the flow in how Gareth Southgate wants to play? Yeah, Jack Grealish will win you fouls, create goals, score goals, but is he going to fit in the system that Gareth Southgate wants to play? I don't think he does, and I don't think he will pick him, because I just think there's a few others ahead of him. But I do think he should scrape into the squad at least. But even that's up for grabs right now for anyone. The actual squad, never mind the starting lineup, because there's that many players in that position. We talked about it before. The attacking side of our game is frightening. It really is. Jack Grealish, for me, I would have him in my team. I would. I think he's the type of player who will thrive on a pressure situation. The big occasion is Jack Grealish. That's exactly what he is. And you know what? He's not going to get any more pressure than playing for England in a tournament. And that's his stage for me. That's the stage for Jack Grealish. When he knows the lights are on, the cameras are on him, that's when he becomes an even better player. It's when he's been left out and he's coming in, he's not centre stage, that's when he sort of drifts away from games. But we've seen it in the games he's already played this season for Villa, how instrumental he is. And last season, he's just never ever going to be at a big club, is he? And then you've got to bring that argument into it again, the stupid big club mentality. And there's a few at bigger clubs in front of him right now. I'm not saying that's why, but you have to bring that into the equation. You really do. Yeah. Because it's the same with Maddison. Maddison's the similar type of player. Not as good, I don't think. But you know what? The Leicester player, is he coming in? This is why Vardy didn't bother. This is why Vardy stopped playing for England, because he just knew he wasn't going to get his shout. The old non-league player who came up to Leicester and started tearing the Premier League apart. Well, he doesn't fit the mould. He's not the Rashford. He's not the Sancho, the Harry Kane. But I just think Jack Grealish, I think people look at him off the pitch before they look at him on it. I just think Southgate, I don't think he's in his plan. I really don't. I think somewhere in the squad, but he's not in his first team when everyone's fit, mate. That's 100%. Yeah, and I look at Jack Grealish, I suppose, from my perspective. I highly admire him, for his on the pitch antics. He's so good, and even again recently this season, the games against Arsenal, against Liverpool, for Villa, he was very instrumental in them big wins, and he takes a game by the scruff of the neck. He's that type of player, and I think England, I think personally at the moment, if they're not going to play him off the left where he does play with Villa, he could definitely compete for a number 10 role, because he can also play there as well. There's many players in there like a Mason Mount who is competing with him. Personally, I think he's better than Mason Mount now. I know Jack Clemson, who's on this channel now, will heavily disagree with me on that, but I think Jack Grealish is just an unbelievable player, and I'm sickened from my point of view that he chose England at the end of the day, because for me, if he was in the Ireland setup now, he'd have the armband. He's that good. He's a fantastic player. And Gary, I was want to come to you on Grealish. Obviously, look,
he did play kind of underage for us, and though he looked promising. Like, looking at his situation with England, like what's your take on it? Like, how do you feel like about the whole situation with Southgate, the way he's treating him?
Like, I think Adam's right. I don't think he's part of the mold of what he wants as a player. Like, in terms of, is he a big enough name or whatever. Plus, the fact is, he didn't really come through the youth setup with Southgate like an awful lot of the players have. So he's probably thinking he has his boys first and stuff like that. But Adam's 100% correct. Like, this lad last year was the most fouled player and won the most free kicks in the entire Premier League. When you consider the players that are in the Premier League, that's quite the honour that you've just got butchered for an entire season. Like, so he could be that player that could absolutely get a free kick on the edge of a box in a major tournament, where the likes of a Kieran Trippier could bend one in, or Harry Kane could bend one in and stuff like that. So it's horrible, because I think Kane, if he was feeding Harry Kane on a weekly basis, say at even Spurs or something like that, he'd walk into the England team every week. Like, imagine Kane or Rashford, Sterling, or like Sancho with that type of service that he can provide. I think he turned England into absolute, like, just a different level.
Yeah, and he's a fantastic player. It just remains to be seen what kind of Southgate, what kind of formation he goes with in the Euros, because he did go with the 3-5-2 in the World Cup, and since then he's kind of gone back to a 4-3-3, which again only kind of limits Grealish to competing from a left wing spot. Does he trust Grealish in a midfield three? Which I think, though, as I come to our previous comment there with Grealish, Shane, who's on the channel, said England's squad is stacked. Midfield lets them down because Southgate doesn't trust the players. Should go with a midfield three of Foden, Rice, and Grealish. Like, yeah, you look at that. Like, Grealish could play in a midfield three. I think he could. He's that good. He's that type of player. I think he could play in a midfield three. He is that good. But look, I suppose we'll just have to wait and see kind of what happens with the squad and how Southgate kind of approaches it in the World Cup and the Euros coming forward. Gary, coming into this game against England, Ireland do have a couple of issues with regards to injuries and COVID-19. And so two very, I suppose, good attacking players for us in Aaron Connolly and Callum Robinson, two players who were in good form for their clubs and domestically in the Premier League. And for both Brighton and West Brom are both out, and it looks like though Shawnee Maguire from Preston and Ryan Manning has come into the squad as well. What are your thoughts with regards to them dropping out, the two new additions to the squad?
Well, with Aaron Connolly, like, he's shown in the recent internationals that he's got something about himself. He's willing to put himself into the box. Plenty of pace. He's always seemed to disrupt defences, but just trying to get into the right positions is probably the hardest thing he can do. Like, he's been phenomenal with Brighton, I think, this year. Like, Callum Robinson's probably been brought in for his experience. Like, he's played an awful lot of games between, the likes of West Brom and stuff like that. With the likes of Maguire and Manning coming in, I think Manning's just coming in to get the experience of the international setup. And with Sean Maguire, I think, to be honest, he's there just to shore up the options. I can't see neither of them starting, if I was honest.
Yeah, like, I look at it, like, to be fair, I actually have Maguire as my starting striker because of Connolly being out. So I think we and Jurgen definitely going to have different opinions in terms of our starting lineup. But I actually have Maguire in there, but I'll elaborate on that later on. But yeah, look, I think Aaron Connolly is a massive miss for us in this game, because England, like, with Joe Gomez being out, they've a pacey defender, obviously being out, he's a very good centre back, and Harry Maguire does lack pace. So if there's anywhere where Ireland can maybe attack England,
does he really lack pace?
I think that's probably the worst kept secret in the Premier League. Like, do you know what I mean? But it's a position where Ireland can maybe try to get at England, but again, England are probably going to have about 70 to 80% possession in this game anyway, because they're vastly superior.
This is where the likes of Kyle Walker has come in as the afterburner to cover for the centre-backs. That's why he played him in the free in the World Cup. Because he knew he could cover the others with his pace. And even if he made a mistake, then he could just get back with pace. That's all he's got for me, Kyle Walker. But you know what? It's when you're playing against the elite, it does come in handy.
Yeah, but like, did you see Roy Keane's comments on Kyle Walker the weekend? What do you make of him? Yeah, Gary, what did you make of that? Like, obviously, you see Roy Keane, and did you see the Mika Richards video of what Roy Keane putting on the makeup? Like, do you know what I mean?
The poor man can't do that, right? Like, when it comes to Kyle Walker, like, Keano's just because he's so influential and he's such a massive name in football that no matter what he does or what he says, like, he obviously has an issue with Kyle Walker. Like, but Jesus, like, as a right back, I take him at Liverpool in a heartbeat.
Yeah, he's a very good player, but geez, like, seeing Roy Keane call him an idiot, like, do you know what I mean? I couldn't stop, I suppose, laughing in a way. Like, he's just so blunt about things, isn't he? Like, Roy Keane, he never beats around the bush, and I'm actually sad to see that he's not, like, still in the Ireland setup, like, as assistant manager, because there's a lot of players in there who are getting a free ride for so many years, and to see the way how he kind of dealt with the Ireland setup with Martin O'Neill, he was an influential assistant manager. But I hopefully he gets a job in football somewhere else, because where he is good at his punditry, I'd like to see him get a second crack, because such a great player. Like, he probably still has a lot to offer in I suppose, the managing and the other side of things. Adam, in terms of, like, England, in terms of their goalkeepers, Jordan Pickford, actually, from Roy Keane, has come in for, like, Roy Keane gave Pickford a lot of criticism on the back end of last season, and he has criticised him, like, earlier on in the season. In terms of England's goalkeeping situation, how do you deal with this? For you, who is England number one? Obviously, Southgate prefers Pickford, but you're embarrassed riches in terms of your goalkeepers. You have Jordan Pickford, you have the likes of Dean Henderson, Nick Pope, even the likes of Tom Heaton, who are all still floating around there as well, though Jack Butland. There's still many fantastic goalkeepers England have. For you, who is England number one?
England number one, right? I mean, I'd love to say Henderson, but he's just not playing enough games, so it obviously has to be Pope for me, because he's playing better. He's sturdier. He's a lot better at coming and commanding his box than what Pickford is. He's less rash, equally as good a shot stopper, if not better, in my opinion. So I just feel like Pope is the number one for England right now. I think he deserves it more than what Pickford does. That's how I see it. I think he's not made a mistake. He was the most clean sheets last season, and for the team he's playing for, I mean, come on, you've got to give credit where it's due. And if that doesn't shout out to the England coaching staff, then I don't think anything else will. It's a shame. We know Pickford's going to play every game. It really is a shame, but we've seen it when you're at a big club. You know that this is the situation. It's the same with Henderson now. We want to see him get a chance, but now De Gea's upped his game a little bit again. It's just the way it is. And there's so many players. Someone's got to be left out. I just feel like Pickford's going to keep coming in. But if I had the decision, then Pickford would get nowhere near that keeper spot for England for me. It's definitely Pope. He's everything about his attributes it just pours and oozes out calmness to me, Nick Pope. And that's the difference. With England's backline, you need someone behind that defence who's going to give them a little bit of confidence, knowing that you've got a solid goalkeeper behind you. It's not all about the brilliant saves that Pickford may make every now and then. I don't care. That's standard goalkeeping. I think Roy Keane is right in what he says. Even the save that Schmeichel made in the game on Sunday, I remember Roy Keane commentating on it. Everyone was building it up as a worldie, and he goes, "That's just a normal save for an half-decent goalkeeper." It just gives keepers absolutely get no credit with Roy Keane. I remember when he was a player, if a keeper made a mistake and Keane thought it was something he should be doing as standard, then he just laid into him. He's the same in his punditry, but he's right in what he's saying about Pickford. He really is. And Pope deserves his chance. So, to answer your question, mate, it's definitely Nick Pope for me. I'd love to say Henderson, but I want to be fair. Henderson's just not getting the games. And Pope is just consistently doing it. So I just feel like he deserves his shot. but Southgate won't give it him. That's what I'm thinking.
And there was rumours floating around that Pope is actually going to get the nod tomorrow against Ireland.
In the friendly, when it doesn't matter. I know, it's a shame.
Yeah, like there's rumours floating around that he might start. If he has a good game tomorrow, if Ireland manage to get one shot on target, it might be a good showing for him. It's probably not the most ideal opposition for him to come up against for his proper chance for a start. Like, do you know what I mean? But look, if he has a good game tomorrow, he might be in Southgate's thoughts going forward. Harry, I just want your take quickly on the goalkeeping situation for England. Like, there's fantastic keepers there. Would you kind of echo Adam's statement there that Pope would be the number one, or do you have anyone else in mind?
No, like it's between Henderson and Pope for me. Like, Henderson proved last year how good of a keeper he actually was. Like, he'd one mistake all season last year, and it was against Liverpool. Like, but Pope has been solid throughout. Like, Pickford's had a calamity of errors. Like, even there was talks of Ancelotti not having faith in him, and if your own club can't have faith in you, and probably one of the best managers in the last 30 years can't have faith in you, that kind of should ring alarm bells for England supporters and for an England manager as well.
Yeah, like, look, for me, I'd kind of echo Adam. Like, with Dean Henderson, I think he should be maybe next year or so United's number one, never mind England's number one. Do you know what I mean? He's a fantastic goalkeeper. Me and Adam have chatted in the past saying, like, he's someone who commands the box. He's very vocal. For me, he's definitely England's number one going forward because he's still so young. But Nick Pope, again, you can't doubt him. Like, since the last 2.5 years with Burnley, he's been not short of fantastic. And Jordan Pickford, again, the only reasons I think Southgate picks him as well is for his distribution. I think that's one of the only other things he picks him for. Other than that, like, he's been a calamity in the last couple of years.
I don't even think his contribution's that good, mate. I really don't.
Yeah, like, I suppose you look at maybe the only way Southgate's probably basing this off is in the World Cup. It was good from the back when England were playing a back three. But yeah, I suppose at the moment, like, there's no, case for Jordan Pickford playing. And it should be Pope or Henderson. There should be no debate. And even for me, I go as far as I think Butland should be in there as third choice, or Tom Heaton. Like, do you know what I mean? I wouldn't have Pickford in the top three keepers. I think Butland or Tom Heaton can definitely make a stake to come into that England squad, because they're two great shot stoppers too. But look, it would be interesting to see how Southgate goes, especially these couple of games with the international friendlies, and the Nations League. In terms of another fantastic striker in the Premier League is Harry Kane, who's on absolute fire this season. So we've seen with Spurs, he seems to be evolving his game. He's not only just a goal scorer now, but he seems to be kind of a creator as well. Adam, like, in terms of Harry Kane, like, obviously he's 32 England goals at the moment. Wayne Rooney's the all-time England top goal scorer at the moment. Do you maybe think Harry Kane has a chance of breaking Rooney's record at the moment, considering his age and his injury record?
Harry Kane's going to break every single record in England. He's going to break Shearer's Premier League record. He's going to break Rooney's record. The guy is immense. You cannot fault this guy. He's the best striker in the league right now by a country mile for me. He's just, when he's at his prime, when he's not injured, like you said, but when he's hitting it, right now he's the best he can be. He's unplayable right now, Harry Kane. He's at the peak of his fitness. He's got his link up with Son. He's got Gareth Bale coming on here and there, everywhere. But he's just adapted his game again. No, he's added another feather to his cap, because his contribution in assists and everything and link-up play, he can drop off, he can score from outside the box, he's got a little bit of pace when he needs it, more than what Shearer had, he's great in the air, and you know what, he's a leader on the pitch. And if you like him or if you don't, in the way his captaincy and the way he is, he's just one of them. He's very similar to Beckham in how he captains the team, and sort of he leads by example on the pitch. I mean, you look at him now and you go, what age he is. Yeah, the injuries may hamper him, but in terms of will he get to the top of goal scoring stats, I 100% believe he will. I think he'll break all the records. He's frightening what he's got. He's got 200 goals for Spurs already. Man, Wayne Rooney's our leading goal scorer of all time with 200 and odd. I mean, Harry Kane's there already. You know what I mean? It's frightening what this guy's goal stats are. He's just, even when he was injured for a big spell, nearly every season, he's always up there in the goal scoring charts, isn't he? No matter what, Harry Kane's always in that top 5, isn't he, at least? And if he has one season where he's not injured, the guy's getting over 40 goals, mate. Easily. He is that good. He's ridiculously good. But he takes about 4 or 5 games to hit his straps again after he's got injured. That's what slows him down a little bit. That's the only thing that will slow him down. The injuries and that knee. That knee will be the end of him, probably. But you know what? For the time being, you've just got to enjoy him as an England striker because he can be out the game, but he'll win the game for you. He's one of them strikers. He just knows he's very disciplined in his positioning, and he doesn't go drifting looking for the ball. He just knows when he gets that chance, he has to be on his toes. He has to be on the ball, and he always is. He may not get a touch, but if he gets a touch in front of the goal, it goes in, and that is the ultimate striker for me. He's just who you play alongside him. I think for England's the bigger question. Harry Kane starts every single game. He's the only one player in that front 6, I could say, who I can say safely he is going to start every game. That is it. Everyone else could be anyone. It really could be anyone. But Harry Kane is the only one out of that front forward line who is a definite pick for England. I'd love him at United. My God.
Oh,
he'd be awesome at United. God, we might even catch Gazzy's lot up if we got him in our team. You never know. Do you know what? I think Jamie Vardy would improve us. Never mind.
Oh, he would absolutely. Do I'd take him, or even at the moment the way Calvert-Lewin is playing. He's another player who could nearly get a sniff in. Like
he's scarily good in the air. That guy. The only guy he can't handle, believe it or not, is Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire has this guy on toast. I don't know what it is. He just waits for him. He's the perfect player to play against, Harry Maguire, I think, because he knows it's physical and it's aerial. And Harry Maguire has his best games against Cal. Even though he always, De Gea gifted in the goal last season, didn't he? But, he's just one of them. He's all arms and he's got a touch as well. But since Ancelotti's took over, and it just shows you how much coaching comes into it with these players, that he has gone on to another level again. But yeah, it's a shout Calvert-Lewin, but you can't. It's a shame Danny Ings got injured because he's another good striker.
Yeah, and another that's a striker I suppose at Liverpool, Gary. You'd probably take now ahead of Firmino, like Danny Ings. Like he seems to be someone who was on a rich vein of form with Southampton last season.
Oh, the fact that he had the 2 ACL injuries with us, because Klopp loved him. Like he was such a hard worker. He was in everywhere. He was doing whatever he could. God knows what would have happened to Danny Ings if it wasn't for those 2 injuries. And he just wanted first team football. He wasn't happy with coming off the bench, and at the same time, I can't blame him. He was getting to the stage where he needed to move on and get first team football, and Southampton, he showed why he's such a good striker. He's banging in 20 goals a season for Southampton. And Harry Kane, as Pat was saying, the quality of him is just Danny Ings will never get a shout ever unless Harry Kane is injured.
That's why Jamie Vardy retired from international football because of Harry Kane.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that.
Yeah,
hadn't the hope, and just imagine, I wish Jamie Vardy didn't play them couple of friendlies and a few little appearances that he had for England off the bench. I was thinking, if he has an Irish granddad or something, do you know what I mean, or some far off relative, a cousin or something, do you know what I mean? We actually need a striker at the moment, so badly. I'd love any of them players: Danny Ings, Calvert-Lewin, Jamie Vardy. I'll even go as far as say it's Patrick Bamford at the moment, because he's banging them in for Leeds at the moment. Do you know what I mean? He's another striker.
Mate. Scary, mate. It's absolutely the abundance of talent in our forward lines is unreal, man. Absolutely unreal. It really is.
Oh, stop. One question, one topic I'd like to come to, obviously, with in terms of the game tomorrow, it's obviously the starting 11s. Now, obviously, it's a friendly, so both managers might make some changes with regards to their teams because there's competitive Nations League games coming up. And Gary, I'm going to come to you first for your Ireland team. Who would you like to see us go with full strength tomorrow? I know there's a few young players in this squad. Who would you like to start tomorrow?
I think he's got no choice but to go with a strong squad for the simple fact that, like I'd hate to say it, but it's the old enemy. Like you can't put out youngsters in this match. Like they'll get eaten alive because England are going to put out a very young team, but it's going to be a very experienced team at the same time. Like, you know, so with my team, like I've gone for Randolph in goal. I've got for Christie, O'Shea, Egan, and Long at the back. So I'm gone with Malumbi and McCarthy in the midfield, and I've Brown, Horgan, Ida, and Brady up front.
You have a completely different team to me altogether. I'm just going to go with my Ireland team here now. I'm going to go with Randolph in goal, Seamus Coleman at right back, Shane Duffy and John Egan, the two centre backs. I've gone with Matt Doherty as a makeshift left back because Enda Stevens, I didn't see him in the squad, so I've Matt Doherty as the makeshift left back. Jason Malumbi, even though I do like him, he is a very good player. He's actually not in my starting lineup. I was full of praise of him in the last podcast we done about Ireland. I was actually full of praise for him, but it looks like I'm absolutely have to flip flop on that now. So I know a few are probably going to have to come at me with that one. But my two holding midfield players are James McCarthy and Conor Hourhan from Aston Villa. Hourhan, again, is a fantastic player, and he's a gift of the left foot. And I think with set pieces, where our two centre backs, Egan and Duffy, we need someone with a good delivery in there. So I think Hourhan is a player who can help us there. In terms of the right hand side, I went with what Stephen Kenny's going to go with. I think O'Dowda should be starting off the right flank, but he's not going to play him. It's going to be Jeff Hendrick off the right. I've gone with Robbie Brady in the hole, and I've gone with James McLean on the left side, and I've gone with Shawnee Maguire up front. Even though you said he's only here to make the numbers, I only have him in there because his pace. That's literally the reason why I have him in there, and for Chrissy Gearin as well, because he's the Cork City and the Cork City connection. But other than that, that's the team he's going to go with. As Shane Downey would say, I've gone with a team full of passion merchants. But look, that's all we can go with at the moment. I think that's probably our strongest team on paper. But again, as I said, there's players like Jack Byrne, Jason Lumby who are in there who are probably more creative than the players I have there. But I don't see Stephen Kenny going with them against a strong team like England. Like the England's midfield is stacked, so I think he will go with the likes of Hourhan and McCarthy in there to hopefully kind of shore things up and try and nick a result. But that's what I've gone with now. But I don't know if that'll happen. But we wait and see. Adam, in terms of England's lineup, who do you go with? Kind of what formation would you go with England tomorrow?
It could be anything. It really could. I expect Pope to come in, like you said, with it being the friendly. I expect, actually, you know what? I've not even seen the full squad who's left, but going off what I'd expect to see the likes of Trippier, Maguire, Cody at the back, Kyle Walker possibly. The midfield, I think, is going to be one. I think he will play Henderson. I just feel like he is going to stick him in there, but I feel like he's going to play Mount and Foden in this game. I think Foden's going to play. I think it's the perfect game for him to play. The front line will be very interesting. I don't think he'll play Rashford because he's arrived late with the squad. So there's one you can take out the equation. Does Sancho come in? Sancho has not been playing well at all. So I think Kane will definitely play unless I'm pretty certain Calvert-Lewin's been added to the squad. But I can't actually picture in my head the whole squad because there's that many players. Like we said before, I think Sterling will play in this game. I think Kane will probably play. But yeah, I think he'll probably squeeze.
Does Jack Grealish start against Ireland?
That's the one spot in it. It's a Sancho or it's a Grealish. One of the two. Sterling, Sancho, Grealish with Kane. If there was one game he's going to play Grealish, it'd probably be this one. As the other two games, I don't think he will. Or he won't start with him anyway. So I think you guys may be up against it because I think Grealish may just come into this one. You know what? You could even see Maddison in this game in midfield at some point. It's hard. It's so difficult to pick. With it being a friendly, I have got no clue which way he's going to go. He could go because it is Ireland and obviously we don't want to be embarrassed. Southgate won't want to be embarrassed and lose a game. But No, man. You could even... there's too many players, mate. I can't pick the team. I really cannot pick the team. Not for a friendly. If it's an international and it's got some meaning to it in terms of competition-wise, then it's a bit easier. But friendlies, God, man, Jude Bellingham's come into the squad. You just don't know. You just really don't know with England at all. But yeah, the defence is probably the threadbare bit about our squad. With Gomez going down now as well. I think we'll see the likes of Cody play again. Definitely see Connor Cody in there. Trippier. I don't even... Did Aaron Wan-Bissaka even get to the squad?
He did. Reece James got picked ahead of him. Reece James from Chelsea got picked ahead of him. There
you go. You've got Reece James. That's the type of play that Southgate wants. We talked about Grealish with this before. Bissaka's a defender. James offers more going forward. So this is the mould of play that we're looking at. It's like the Trippiers of the world. They've got an end product. They've got the cross. You know what I mean? You've got what's the name? Oh, I can never remember double barrel names. The Liverpool's fullback. God damn it! Trent, that's the one. Trent. There's just too much. There's too much to pick from. For a friendly, you can't narrow it down at all. But going off the mould and what we said then, you look at what Trent offers, what Trippier offers, what Reece James offers. They all offer something going forward, where Wan-Bissaka doesn't. But I tell you what, if your back's to the wall and you're up against a German team or someone who's really good, and you need someone to defend, then Aaron Wan-Bissaka comes into that team. Because if you're not holding on to the ball and having to do something with the ball, and you've got a better team in front of you, Wan-Bissaka has to come in because he's the one who's going to be able to defend for you. But more often than not, England are going to be dominating games. So them fullbacks, I can understand Reece James being in it. I really can. Trent, he's better going forward than anyone I've seen in terms of crossing the ball. It's ridiculous because then you've got Kyle Walker to throw in there, Trippier to throw in there. Centre back's probably the only one you could probably narrow down, mate. You really could. Yeah. But like you said at the start, there's too many players to pick from. There's an abundance of talent, and this is why I said Southgate really can't go wrong. The only issue he's got is who he leaves out. That's his biggest problem.
And do you know what with Southgate? I'll just throw it to you just before we come to our score predictions. If he doesn't work out in the Euros and there's, let's say, his managerial kind of tenure ends, who would you bring in for England?
Mike Bassett. No, I'm only joking. England manager. Whoa, mate. It's...
If Ollie's out of a job and Poch is manager, does Ollie get a job?
No, Ollie's not getting any other big job again after he leaves United. It's as simple as that, isn't it? He has to do something at United or he's out of a job in the big league. Oh, man.
Eddie Howe?
Plenty of English. There's plenty of Eddie Howe, I know. God, no. There's plenty of English managers out there. It's just... I don't know which way they're going right now. Southgate was a swerve ball for me. I didn't see that one coming. I really didn't. But no, I just think it'll be through the system again with England. There's no one who jumps out at me. But
I think what could happen is Stevie G or Lampard getting that. If Lampard doesn't work out.
I don't think they'd take it, mate. I don't think Gerrard would take it. I think Gerrard looks like he's made for club football. And so does Lampard. I'd say out of the two, I would pick Lampard. I think Gerrard's got his eyes on bigger prizes, to be honest. As soon as he breaks I know. As soon as he breaks that mould and stops Celtic getting the 10, I think other clubs are going to come fishing. I don't think he's going to be able to turn them down, but he has to do something with Rangers first. I think he feels like he owes it to them. So I just feel like the way Gerrard talks and the way he handles himself as a manager. Yeah, he's made the odd little mishap here and there, but it looks like he's maturing very, very quickly. England job it's not good enough for Gerrard. That's what I would say. That's how I see it. I think he's got his eyes on bigger prizes than England. But yeah, younger manager, older manager, mate, we've done it all, haven't we? You might as well just leave Southgate in charge, mate. You really just leave Southgate in charge because I don't think anyone is going to take this team to the next level right now. Who is going to want that England job, that is. There's plenty of managers there who would, but they're not going to take that England job. There's no way. There's no way at all. I'd just leave Southgate in charge, mate, and let him do his thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Gary, in terms of score predictions, are you ambitious about tomorrow, or are you feeling this could be a trouncing? Because you played Football Manager earlier, didn't you? And you got there, you had a result on the game, on this certain game.
Yeah, so Football Manager 21 came out yesterday, and I said I have to put the game in this morning to check and see what the score would be. So Football Manager came out with the result of 4-0 in England's favour, with Harry Kane hat-trick and Jack Grealish got a goal. I don't know if FM was playing a trick on me. I'm going to probably go a little bit more ambitious at the fact that it'll be a 3-0 victory to England. I can't see us doing anything.
3-0 victory to England. Adam, what are you going to go? Are you going to echo Gary with a 3-0, or do you think maybe it could be tighter, or maybe it could be more?
Oh, I just don't see Ireland getting hold of the ball. That's the problem. That's your issue. I just think England will dominate the ball, and they've got too much. I heard you talking about that back line for Ireland, and with England's front line. If they want to play England, let's not forget we've got some egos going on in our team. So if they want to turn up and play, they will destroy Ireland. But it's a friendly, and I'm telling you now, you'll be surprised where some of these players' heads are at for friendlies. So I'm going to go, I think I'll just hit a 2-0 for England, because it is a friendly. If it was meaningful, if it was in like the same group, a qualifying group, I'd expect England to just go hell for leather and absolutely take you apart. But this England squad have an issue when it comes to friendlies for me, especially when it's against a home nation as well. So I think on that, I'm going to go 2-0 to England.
For me, with this score prediction, I'm kind of thinking about if Southgate goes with two holding midfielders of Declan Rice and Henderson, we might see a tighter game, because he has gone with that in recent games, even against the weaker teams. He's gone with
You're
that.
just praying that Rice plays and gets injured, mate. That's all you're hoping for. That's
No, it's not that at all. It's not that at all. I'm just being slightly.
Yes, it is. It is.
No. But yeah, like, look, I'm just gonna be slightly optimistic, just for the sake of it, because both of you have gone with an Ireland loss. I'm gonna go with a 1-0 Ireland win. Shane Duffy will score a header from a set piece to trademark Shane Duffy goal. Usually on a score prediction,
I'm sure you, Mary, and Owen will be lighting up the WhatsApp group, mate, if it does. Put it that way.
Absolutely, and for once, Adam, on a show with you, I'm not predicting the Bruno Fernandes penalty, which is always great.
Mate, he didn't even get on the pitch. Portugal won 7-0. He didn't even get on the pitch tonight.
Oh,
crazy.
7-0. Imagine the amount of penalties he could have scored tonight, Adam. Like, do you know what I mean? Bruno FC could have been lightening up, and just shout out to all of my favourite Tottenham fans as well who love Bruno Fernandes as well. Just shout out to all you guys as well tonight. You're fantastic with the support you show, Bruno. But lads, thanks very much for coming on tonight. It's been a great chat about England and Ireland, and kind of the direction that both teams are taking. And look, Adam, best of luck tomorrow. And though it is a game where I suppose it hasn't come in ideal circumstances, but look, it's always great to see kind of home nations play against each other, regardless of the situation. So we need more of it.
I want all the home nations to win and get through to the tournament. I want Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, Republic. I want them all in, because you know what? That's at international level. I've got no rivalry. There's no hatred at all for me. I know everyone hates us, but that's just normal. But I actually want everyone to do well. I don't know. It's international level is totally different for me. I'm as chilled. Unless England get in a penalty shootout, you won't see me as more chilled watching a football game, mate. When it comes to club football, I change into the Hulk. But with internationals, I don't see why anyone wouldn't want the home nations to win. I can understand the arrogance of the English and how people would hate that, but I'm not one of them England fans, to be honest. I want all home nations to do well. I just think it's better when there's more of us in the bigger tournaments. I think you can imagine the crowds, and it's just when the Wales were in it, in the Euros. I know what I mean, when them scenes when the Wales and the English fans were just ganging together because the Russians were coming up the street. I know it's not a thing, but you know what I mean. It's just like I just feel like the atmosphere is miles better And now that they're spreading around Europe and the different venues. I don't know how that will go. I don't know if COVID will hamper that now, but that, most of it being on the British Isles, that's where you want all the home nations in, because you want to have the chance to go to these games. You know what I mean? So how many times in our lifetimes have we all managed to get to a major tournament? I know England have had a few, but the astronomical prices have just blown that completely out. But when was the last time we had a competition on our own land? Do you know what I mean? And this is a perfect opportunity. Hopefully we get the chance to, and some of the fans that could maybe take Alfie to watch a proper competitive international game. Do you know what I mean? In a tournament, we just don't see it, because I would never take Alfie abroad with England fans, because, well, I don't even have to explain why, because they're all dickheads. But it's, you know what I mean? Home nations, on your home turf, it's a different ball game, isn't it? So I want them all.
With Ireland Euros.
Oh God, I'd love to be going over to Ireland to watch a football game with England. It's just, you know what I mean. I think we're just going to miss out on it because of this COVID crap. But it's a shame. But no, I'm all in. I want everyone to do. I want Scotland, Wales, Republic, Northern Ireland. I want them all to do well, just to get in there, and then we can smash you when we get over there. But yeah.
And Gary, I know myself and yourself, if Ireland got into the Euros during the summer, Gleason's beer garden, just absolute scenes.
That's it. You want to see it.
That's the thing. The more home nations that are there, the better. But I remember an old foreman used to say to me, he goes, even if Ireland don't get there, I'll always have 3 matches to cheer. And he goes, that's the 3 teams that play against England in the group stages. Yeah. And then after that is always the plus. That would always stay with me. And Adam said, it's just the rivalry, the jealousy of the riches of the resources that are there.
Man, then we don't even have to get into the rugby union. Christ, man, that's another level of hatred. Jesus. God. Wow.
You can nearly have another podcast just talk about the rugby union and the hatred, but that's not my level of expertise. That's Gary's. He's wearing the Ireland rugby jersey there. I might leave
that wouldn't be me. I'm just wearing this because it's comfortable. That's it. That wouldn't be my level of area of expertise.
I tell you what, them modern day rugby union shirts wouldn't. I don't think they'd fit any of our figures, would they? The way they are
painted on,
spray tanned, crazy.
Oh, stop. Lads, we're going to wrap it up there tonight now. It's a fantastic show. Do a great talking points tonight, and thanks to both of you for coming on, especially at this late time as well.
Mate.
Thanks very much. And look, we are back tomorrow on our United show, Devil's Advocate, and we've a lot to talk about, including our Mount Rushmore of Manchester United. So it'll be interesting to get all your opinions on that tomorrow, because I've got a few already, and trust me, there's a lot of different ones. So I can't wait to hear all your opinions on that. But look, thanks very much.
If Cantona isn't there.
Absolutely. We'll see King Eric again.